Hello everybody. Today we're going to do a special video which I don't do a lot of, and it's going to be a short reaction to this video here from Hardware Unboxed called Ray Tracing as a Noise Problem. I think overall the video, is in good faith, and they're trying to showcase the real issues of denoising, which have been there since day one with ray tracing. They're real issues. There's a bunch of, true use cases for that. But I want to focus on something that I think I did notice to a couple, I think it was also Digital Foundry, making the same mistake. And basically what they're doing is, I think they're kind of forgetting what reality is like, and they're comparing to a non-ray traced baseline, which is still a digital, non-realistic image. And we're going to look at this problem here in this specific scene in Ratchet and
clearly with
Clank.
a wider camera angle, not in the photo mode, this issue is worse. I also noticed this problem in Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, which is generally on the better end of games when it comes to ray tracing noise, but with the game using max settings and DLAA at 4K, the quality of surface textures is reduced when ray tracing is enabled. In this example, ray tracing adds reflections that weren't there previously, which improves the accuracy of reflections and adds to the scene's realism, but this causes a loss in surface detail, and the resolution of these reflections appears lower than the rest of the game world as a result.
Okay, so you can see clearly that here the parent texture resolution is lower than over here, right? And unfortunately, that is a very, very bad observation in this case, because that is a realistic effect of lighting. And then I will show you some real lighting examples where this is more realistic than this, and there should not be this much texture detail here. I think they're kind of missing the point of, something wanting to look more realistic. Of course, these are all not all fake materials. They're not perfect, but I think this one is way closer to what you would see in reality. And I'll show you two examples. The first one you saw maybe when we started the stream is here. You can see the ground in this Guggenheimer Bilbao Museum. You can see there's this artwork here, this kind of modern art, whatever it is. But you can clearly see the texture here of the wooden area where the light is, reflected. But here you can already see when the reflections are a bit brighter, depending what the light properties are and the material properties of the ground, you can see clearly the texture quality here is disappearing, right? Depending on what is being reflected. Here you can see when the white wall is being reflected, almost all texture detail is lost. And it really depends on the materials and the light interactions. But you can definitely see it is realistic that the texture basically is less visible because of contrast and the light being reflected in a certain way. The same here, you can also see this is a short. Credit to all the people I'm using the footage from. Obviously, I haven't made that footage. And you can see here clearly on the ground, it's very, very visible that, I'm going to go back because the start is the most important part here. You can clearly see, I'm going to pause for you here, that certain areas have a very, very distinct frequency component. Oh, obviously cameras, right? There's the camera motion blur, like blur in general, right? Resolution stuff, artifacting, everything is there. Obviously, it's not a perfect image. But you can just do that experiment for yourself. Just look at a wooden surface maybe next to you with the light shining on it, and just look at it, right? You will see that it doesn't react the way it does on the left side here at all, but it's way more closer to this, right? And yeah, you can see texture detail being lost here. And also, same here again. This is a marble surface, and here you can clearly see almost, camera, contrast, all those things. You and I will maybe do a bit better job at, keeping some of the detail, but it for sure will lose a lot of detail, right? You can see here even like very distinct textures, as soon as the light shines on them in a certain way, really become almost lost, right? You can see this here clearly. And I think it's really important because I think they're doing this in good faith, right? I think the reality is just like we don't have enough hardware power, like even AI apps, like reconstructions, they are adding new issues and the temporal aspects are not great. So honestly, I would have thought a better video would have been gaming has a temporal stability issue. I think that is more of a problem than actually the denoisers and ray tracing. And I do agree sometimes, obviously, the bad denoising, which has been there for, by the way, screen space reflections too, is just like it's so low cost that we can do higher reflection resolutions. And I think that's really important to realize that this is a temporal issue, basically. Like, it will resolve itself with time, with more resources and better algorithms. It's not something you just turn on and off, right? There has been extensive research. Like, NVIDIA's reconstruction is a very advanced, sophisticated algorithm that tries its best, right? It's not perfect. Humans are kind of ass at math. It's what I said in the last stream too. So I think it's really, really important to at least distinguish between what is realistic and what is just the baseline of rasterization, which is completely wrong from a realistic perspective, right? So it just tries to emulate realism. So really, I love your videos, Hardware Unboxed, but you really have to, keep in mind that there is the real world, real physics, and you should always take that as a baseline and not the rasterized version. And also Digital Foundry the same. Sometimes there will be a significant loss in texture resolution. I know the Digital Foundry video Indiana Jones showed it as a negative, that when the wooden floor gets a reflection in a certain angle, that almost all surface detail is lost. But you can see this is, depending on the light, you can see more or less detail, sometimes in the light against versus not the light. So depending on what scenario you're in, basically you're going to be losing or winning texture detail because the lighting is, just refracted in a different way. So I think it's really important to realize that and to really, just like maybe take the reality as a baseline and not the higher fidelity rasterized version, which just omits maybe some occlusion because of, realistic light interaction. So yeah, that's basically the short video here. I don't do this type of content usually. I just play games and enjoy them. And, I enjoy the tech part too. So I do watch a lot of tech stuff on it. So yeah, I definitely think this is really important to keep in mind, because it's also kind of misinforming people about maybe, what not the real issue is. This is not the real issue. The real issue is temporal stability, like that, the lighting doesn't bounce enough. There are not enough rays. You need to reconstruct them, which will lead to noise. That is all completely logical and sound, right? But this is, in my opinion, some of these examples do showcase different issues, which are basically the perceptions of humans of what is realistic and what is not realistic. And especially as, channels that focus most, on, fake imagery, you might just forget that the real world has physics properties, and that's what we're trying to emulate, and not the rasterized, high texture resolution, which might be completely invisible or unrealistic to perceive, from in certain lighting conditions. So yeah, so thanks for watching and have a great one. And obviously keep up the great work, Hardware Unboxed, really great videos otherwise. And also, the rest of the video too, right? And this is not meant to be, some kind of, oh no, what a terrible video. No, it's a great video, but just like this part, and I don't know, even remember there were other parts like this, where just like I felt like it's really important to remind yourself of, reality exists, and, just take a little bit more time, maybe just to compare to what would be a realistic baseline. Yeah, that's it. And thanks for watching. Bye-bye.